I said you looked better with the
What?
I think you heard it the first time.
What?
All right, do you
You know, my
wanna,
wife said she made her, and she put a red smile on it.
Yeah? So we got Dan, Brian, Vinny, myself.
yeah, if you wanna start the meeting, I can do roll call.
Mike told me he was coming, even though he's late.
Who's 2210?
Isn't that Bruce?
No, that's from inside the building.
Oh.
Oh, that's this phone here. Sorry.
Oh, right.
One, two, three, four.
We got five.
Five.
We got five. Shall we get started?
Go for it.
Like to call the August board meeting to order. Roll call, please, Miss Ally.
Craig Leggett,
Give me $25.
Craig Leggett,
Here.
Brian Campbell,
Here.
Jenny Sullivan,
Here.
Mike Wild, Dan Bruno,
Here.
Bruce Ferguson, Nick Caimano,
Here.
Dave O'Brien.
He's here. Okay, first order of business. I would like to get a motion to approve the minutes as mailed from the July 20th IDA board meeting. Can I have a motion, please? Nick, motion, second by Dan Bruno. Any omissions, corrections? All in favor?
You can see.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Next order of business is the current accounts payable. Please review the accounts payable as mailed.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Leggett.
thank you. On the attorney's fees, is that mostly related to the dewatering site or industrial park,
Actually, I think that it was about,
solar?
yeah, it's about even. Actually, I think general file was more than the dewatering facility this month.
Okay.
Okay?
I can send you a copy if you'd like to review it.
Oh, it's okay, thanks. At this point.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I guess I'll do it again.
Nick approves it. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Craig. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I'd like to recognize Dennis here who did the brush cutting. I haven't been by to check it out, but I'm sure he did a great job as usual. Thanks, Dennis.
I took a look at it the other day. Looked good.
Good. Park business, Kara and I are meeting with Mr. Nolan next Wednesday. We have one issue we need to resolve, and I think we resolve it. It has to do with the right of reversion. His issue is that his bank won't let him have the mortgage if that right of reversion is in the deed. So we're going to work out a way to accomplish the same purposes. He wants to come and meet. We thought we'd do over the phone, but he'd just like to meet. So that's the status on that. Recapture update.
Wait a minute, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I sent you and Mike Biddle a note about a disaster out in our park. Have you had a chance to look at it?
Well, I asked Mr. Campbell to. who is the park chairman, Mr. Campbell.
And Mr. Campbell has not had a chance to look at it, but Mr. Campbell is going to.
I wish you would. It is an absolute eyesore, and it takes away from what we're trying
You
to do
know the
there.
actual person?
I do not. I don't even know if anybody's
name.
Brian, I don't even know if anybody's in there. It looks like it looks like a tornado hit yesterday.
Wow. Okay. Thanks, Nick.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Hey, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Craig.
back on the Nolan contract, on the back and forth, there was concern about time to do things, that the attorney for Nolan said that it takes, in his experience, 12 to 14 months for permitting or so, and there was a 60-day clause in there. Has that been ironed out?
Yeah, we'll worry that out. It was a site plan approval. He says he's done 3 of these projects, and each one of them has been 12 to 14 months for site plan approval. I said, we just did one in Hampton that's about 10 times larger than his, and we had site plan approval done within 3 months. So I'm surprised about it. So it must be the mechanisms of the site plan review process in each individual town, but I can't see where it's taken that long. But I will say that in the Hampton one that is run by Ray Energy, tremendously impressed with all the safety features in that project. And, we had people across the street, right across the street that lived there, and they went over and I gave them a tour of it, and they were really impressed with the safety features. So I just wanted to mention that. Okay, anything else on Nolan? Recapture update?
That, so we are, I believe, set on all 3 projects that were in question. Fire Tech has remitted their sales tax that's been sent to New York State.
Mhm.
Patty Company has submitted amended ST 340s. Theirs was an issue of adding up the consecutive years. LG Plaza has submitted amended ST 340s. Theirs was an issue of they took an exemption on they reported an exemption that was also reported by Price Chopper and should have been reported by Price Chopper. So they removed that. We're waiting for the submittals to Tax and Finance right now.
Okay. So it looks like we're getting those under control. Anything else on recapture? That's nice. Parcels containing the road acquisition update. We went to subdivision approval last Wednesday at Fort Edward. We got through the site plan approval. Supposedly we haven't issued it yet, but they've approved our subdivision for the roads. So hopefully they do. I just questioned why it took so long to get to something that we started in April, and they said, well, we didn't realize it was separate. So.
The map was sent, Mass Steve sent the map to Jim Hudson, their engineer. Hudson, I think, yeah, their engineer. And he signed off on it, and Matt's going to initial sign it, and so that will be done.
And tomorrow we're meeting on some of the other properties to straighten out the maintenance and easement agreements on the property so that we can get cost sharing on maintaining the road. So.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Somebody's got a mic open and we're getting a lot of feedback through it.
Okay. You might want to try muting yourselves. Is that better? Okay.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Thank you. So hopefully the next month we'll have the easement and the maintenance agreement ready for the board approval. Yes, Nick.
No, it's Craig.
Oh, Craig, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, that's okay. So the subdivision has been approved? Is that
For the
what you
road, for the road has been approved.
said? Excellent.
Okay. And I sent you an email about good news on some funding for the roads yesterday, or this morning, maybe. So that should be fully announced next week, or probably Thursday. That should be fully announced in the paper, so we'll hear about that. Road acquisition update. I don't see anything else. I think the one outstanding one is we still have to work with the town of Fort Edward to get that small slice taken care of. Okay.
Waiting for your counsel.
She said she's waiting for your counsel.
Have you talked to Mark Schechter or?
I talked to Brian. Right now. I'll find back up with Mark.
Attorneys talk to attorneys sometimes.
It's hard to understand what you're saying. Especially.
We're getting her trained though.
Well, she's fine.
It's only taken me 10 years. I think I've been here too long. Yes, who is that?
Brian. Hey, this is our top priority right now is to get this road finished, and I think we should try to get by every obstacle we can, because as we hope things are gonna turn around in the economy and we're gonna get beyond this COVID crisis, it would be nice if we were free to move forward as quick as possible, and the road is the issue that always keeps tying it down. And we've made big progress. It would be nice to be able to tie this up as fast as we can make that happen.
Well, we understand that. We had everything all planned out to the smallest detail, and then something disastrous happened and we had to start on some of it again. So we are working on it. That's why we had a meeting tomorrow to iron out some of the other issues. But I don't think that WL or WCC is trying to hold this back. I mean, they're cooperating. They're not fighting anything, so that's a change. They said that and said WL. I did talk to WL through email today with Mike Dahl, who was our main contact, and just wanted to let him know that we got funding for the bridge, and we got some funding for the road down there, and I wanted to see how they were doing, and he confirmed that the pipe business is still very slow. The competition is fierce, and they just don't have any margins right now. So I don't know why I let them know about this information, but hopefully we'll see something in the future. But we have been very active showing the property. We've had 5 or 6 people who have looked at it. We have a couple more interested. Actually, matter of fact, I had a board meeting early on Friday to go show property down there and also up at the IDA park. So same party. They like the dewatering facility because they're 3 minutes away from where their facility, the other facility is. So we'll see what develops. Hopefully something happens. Sales and marketing. Any updates, Dan?
Yes. Yeah, I'm not ignoring this. Tried to arrange a couple meetings and they didn't materialize. We were set to meet a couple weeks ago, Nick, myself, and Mike. Jenny couldn't make it, and because I scheduled it on a day that she has a standing commitment. But the last one was canceled due to the passing of Ed Bartholomew.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to try to schedule something for next week where we can sit down and, just lay out a strategy, a path forward, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Jenny, what were the days that you said you have standing commitments that are not good for you? Every day. Okay. What was that? Wednesdays, Thursdays?
It's not you.
Friday,
What is it?
Wednesdays mornings are always out.
I'm sorry?
Wednesdays and Friday mornings are always out right now.
Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday morning? Tuesday or Thursday morning would be okay, maybe? I'll get in touch with everybody. And we'll
I've
see
got
what-
an 11 o'clock appointment on Tuesday morning, but that's it.
I recommend that
And I
we
got
do
a
this
spot.
offline, Chairman.
Okay. Why don't you coordinate with Mike on, why don't you coordinate with them offline there, Dan? So
Yep.
you got at least a couple and,
We'll
okay,
do that. We'll try to forge ahead.
thank you. I got some ideas I'm gonna pass by you guys too, so,
Okay, whatever.
okay?
Thank you.
Did you have another comment, Nick? I saw your hand up before I started talking. Okay, thank you. Solar research update. I'm going to give you where I think we stand at this point. We have talked about this, and I think we sort of started seeing a number of different IDAs that are looking at solar pilots, policies, and putting them in place. And I think we started investigating, and then all of a sudden we had this one company, these 9 companies come in and said they wanted to get some assistance from the IDA. So I think it, to some extent, diverted us from where we were, our course was just sort of kick it around to see if there's something we want to do. And they made 3 or 4 presentations, which really gave us some good information to chew on and actual numbers. And I think that now we're at a point where they came back to me last week and said, and one of the things they're looking for the IDA was they were looking to do a 20 to 25 year pilot. And I don't think that, I haven't thought it was fair. So, but anyhow, so that's where we're at this point. And Mike, I think you had some comments you wanted to make.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I really want to thank the Solar Consortium for coming together and presenting this to Washington County. And I want to thank Chairman Hall for allowing us to look at this. I think that the folks that presented the numbers, that their heart's in the right place and they did a good job to do what they could to give us numbers. 2 months ago, I asked everybody to be open-minded and for us to go through this exercise to make sure that we were doing the right thing for the taxpayers of Washington County. And that was just one step in a long step. I don't see, after reviewing the numbers and what they presented, I don't see that the numbers are a benefit in total to the taxpayers of Washington County. And I'm also worried about extending the pilot out 25 years on a request, Chairman. I don't think that is congruent to what we're trying to do here.
Mm-hmm.
And also with other pilots that we have in the offering and that we look forward to participating with down the road. So as it currently stands, I would ask that we keep our current, for the whole board, that we keep our current solar policy in place. And that we look forward to the solar folks and what they want to do to participate directly with the towns.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chairman.
Nick?
Yeah, I got the impression that they backed away from the 25-year. Didn't they do that?
Yes, they
I
did.
thought they said it. Yeah, okay. The other thing is, are we going to discuss anything about, since we're talking about this, are we going to discuss anything about Matt Hicks's letter that I got?
That's down the road a little bit. We'll get there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
But I think that this was a really interesting proposition. I know that looking at the numbers, and one of the delays we had is they waited almost 4 weeks to give us some numbers that they had promised us the next week. Why that happened, I don't know, but it was really an education on the numbers and how the numbers take place. And I would encourage anyone in the town or school level to really take a good hard look at the numbers and get some assistance from people who understand the pilots. I think you can talk to Laura Chadwick and she can give some people's names who really do look at it. But I was amazed where you look at one thing and you think it's a great thing, and then all of a sudden you chase it down through, and while it's still a good possibility, got some pluses and minuses, I think people really have to realize what it's doing. And it's not giving you more money, it's just shifting money from one place to another place. And I want to thank Al for taking a look at this because he really spent a lot of time trying to understand it. And that's where we're at. So,
If he understands it, I hope he tells us.
well, I should rephrase that. He understood where the numbers went. I'm not sure he understood how they're trying to get there sometimes.
Me too.
But without doing extended pilots like we were, there's really no reason for us to get involved in it. I mean, they can go to the town and the village and get a 15-year pilot. So I don't see why the idea get involved in it. And I would like to offer anyone to pick our brains or something, to ask any questions, be more than willing to help them out. But other than us getting involved in those solar pilots, at this point, it's not a go to me. Mr. Chairman?
No, you're the chairman. Chairman,
You're
I
the
just, you
chairman
had-
of something.
no, maybe, you had mentioned, a few people's names, and I do want to give a lot of thanks to Laura Chadwick, Al Nolat, and several other folks that have been helpful throughout this process. I also think that it helps make us stronger as other projects, not just solar, comes before us. But it's nice to know that we've got a deep bench here in Washington, Warren County to help us cipher through these numbers and through these type of offerings.
And I think we also need to mention Laura Oswald, because she probably helped us put some clarity on it and helped us look at not just the solar pilot part of it, but I think the towns also should be looking at the NYSERDA issues coming down the road.
I think that I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, and when they or anybody else comes forward, I hope it'll be, I got the impression, I thought I was being stupid, but maybe I wasn't. You can't bring something that complicated in front of us, and kind of explain it or try to explain it over 3 or 4 days. I hope the next time somebody comes forward, they have a mandate and say, this is what we want, this is what we want, this is what we want you to do.
Well, that's what we were hoping to get, but we didn't get there. I will note that the IDA in the past has done, I think back in the 80s, did a hydro project for a pilot.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure it's 1 or 2, but I did notice that. So, sometimes if something like that comes up in renewable energy, we might take a look at it. But I think it's our responsibility to look at some of these things to figure out, are they good, are they bad? And maybe it's an area you want to go to, just like any other business. Needs to look at different offerings and different things, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. In this case, in my opinion, I think we're at where we are, and we're that. So, having said that, if anyone wants to make a motion to move forward with solar pilots, that's fine with me. Or if no one makes a motion, that answers the question there too.
Well, I would make a motion, but the motion is that I'm sorry.
Yes, Brian. Nick was talking.
Go ahead, Nick.
Go ahead, Nick.
My resolution was going to be simply that we, for the near future, we just put this, we put this aside and put it in the back burner.
Okay. Is that a motion? Do I have a second to that?
It is.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Brian, and you wanted to speak? Surprise, surprise. Brian,
Yeah, well, I think you raised some different issues here. I got to talk to Craig about this the other day. We have a cheap food policy in this country, and we also have a cheap energy policy, really. And if they both decide to fight over farmland, neither one is going to be cheap in the very near future. And it really just raises the question how Easton is going to move forward to get rid of farmland, when just 2 years ago, we had a couple of large parcels of farmland in the tax sale that brought a whopping amount of money because the farmers were fighting over land, and all of a sudden Easton's willing to take farmland and put it into, or I believe it's farmland, I could be wrong, and allow that to go into solar. So I think we have an issue, especially in Washington County, but probably statewide, this is going to be an issue. For an ag state, in an ag county, our farmland can't really be up against something that government is throwing money at to take it out of, production agriculture. So I think it's raised a serious issue that I didn't foresee coming this quickly. And this is one where government's setting it up to be a failure itself. And I think we need to get that to a different level of people to have this taken care of. But it's not going to be the IDA that handles that. This has got to go more to our actual representatives.
absolutely. It's got to be representatives. It's got to be start at the town, because the towns are the ones that have control over where these have more control over their own land. than the IDA does. We have no control over it. I think it points out there's really a separation. There's a first part that's site selection and site positioning. And there's a second part that has the proposed pilots or something like that. Those are really two separate functions, though they're closely related. So, we'll see what else happens. Maybe something else come up and we'll hear something IDAs are doing or other people are doing that might be a more welcome place for us to go. Yes, Nick?
I just want to say that there's a small snowstorm going through here right now, so I'm going in for a sweatshirt and I'll be off for a bit.
Okay. So let's take a vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? No one's opposed, so that's pushed aside for now. Okay. On a related business, this is, we have two resolutions sent to us. One was sent by the Granville supervisor, and this is going to become more complex as we go along. Hartford supervisor and the Granville supervisor, and I think everyone got a letter today from Granville or within the past few days. Basically, to nail it down, what they're asking for is to go on the 1997 opt-out policy for pilots, which really means that before the IDA could get a pilot, they would have to go through the town for approval. In reading the resolution, which I sent out to look at, opt-out to me is really the wrong word. It's an approval process to have the pilot, but that doesn't make any difference. So anyhow, we were looking for this the other day, and Allie was looking for something else for me. She's looking for something else for me on marijuana and stuff, but she tripped over.
You want to rephrase that?
No, it was. Karen told me there was a potential
lawyer. I advise you to stop talking right now.
There was a potential project that could come up that had to do with marijuana, medical marijuana. And she had thought that there was resolutions passed, which we can't find, that said we would not get involved in medical marijuana. We cannot find that. That was where Allie started looking for. And she had found all these great list of resolutions. I went through the great resolutions, and I found the 1997 resolution where the 99 resolution where the current tax exempt policy was adopted. And then part of that, there was actually two resolutions in there, both number 99-07, and have them in front of us, is both of them say that we're adopting the uniform tax policy. And then there's one that has, it looks like it was yellowed as highlighted. That came out that had further in it, says, and it is further resolved that any town in either Warren County or Washington County can, by a resolution duly passed by the town board, elect to require approval of the respective town board before the implementation by the agency of any real property tax abatement for projects to be located within that town. So that was the terminology went down there. Now the question is that because we've had in Appendix N of our policy, we have a list of towns who requested that approval or opt-out, as it's talked about in the policy book, is that I was looking for the information because I got the Hartford request from Hartford that we get approval from the town board before we do anything. And I got the subsequent one from Granville, though I would talk to Kara about asking them to potentially revise that to reflect this policy or this resolution and this policy to so match it up together. But basically, I was looking for, was there a date on this where you could opt out? Was there any parameters around it you could opt out? And the answer was, I cannot find anything. We do know that this resolution was passed. What we don't know, and I'm assuming that it was the one with the additional language in it that was passed because of the other things that happened. So given that, you have it in front of you. We know it was on June 21st, 1999. Let's get the second copy on it. But what I'd like to do, and I talked to Kara a little bit about this, is simply because there's no ayes or nays, I would simply like to reaffirm this resolution so that we have it documented. We did pass it. We did acknowledge it. That will lead the way to granting the opt-out or approval process to the town of Greenville and town of Hartford. Because I think I had asked in one of our executive meetings, can people opt out at any time? And everyone looked at me like a blank face, so I went and did the research. And this is what I found out. And it would be my recommendation that we do that. I will note that I did review lists of those wonderful lists of resolutions over the past 20 years. The tax abatement policy has not changed. It's still the basic format, same format. The only thing I found was there's some small language clarifications on who's eligible, not eligible. That's the only thing I found. So, but there wasn't a change to the base pilot new construction in terms of numbers like that. So I did want to make that important. So, you know, people question, was there change in tax abatement policy past 20 years? No, and I can't find any conversation of anyone wanting to make those changes. So I just want to clarify that. So did you want to?
Dave, I would make the motion to reaffirm that, if that's what you want.
I think it makes sense.
Also add that I think, and I also would add that I think the IDA, if you have a business that's trying to go someplace that the town doesn't want it, we should be finding a town that doesn't want it. If it's something that the county thinks is good for the area. I think that trying to force something into a town that doesn't want it is beyond what we want to. So I think reaffirming this is good, and I would hope that whenever we are involved in these things, that these towns do want what we're doing. It's not good for us to be on opposite ends here. That doesn't help anybody.
Well, unfortunately, some of this discussion came up and it was never talked about by the IDA wanting to change this policy at all. It was talked about by visitors here and consultants and, you know, legal advice, but in terms of, they don't speak for the board. The board speaks for itself. So unfortunately, there was some confusion there, which I hope has been eliminated. Nick?
I'll second that motion.
Second by Nick. Any further discussion? I would like.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Yes. Craig, yes.
Thank you. The first resolution was based on a 60-day public hearing, et cetera. We do not need to go through any of that formality. This is just an affirmation of this 99-07.
Correct. This is not for the policy. It's just reaffirming the resolution. All that went through all the different processes it had to back in they started rewriting this, as I can remember, in 1996, I believe it was, and they actually hired Chris Hunsinger to help them out in that. So little details you pick up. Wow. Albert.
Dave, I didn't know if you wanted to make sure that the verbiage in your resolution included any amendments thereof, so that any subsequent amendments to that you said there was some clarification language later, you might want to make sure that your resolution includes any, you know, if you're reaffirming the policy and the policy was amended for clarification, you might want to make sure that they're included in your motion.
I understand. The only thing we're really reaffirming in this is this resolution.
The base policy.
The resolution, not the policy.
Okay.
I don't know, I asked Kara.
You're reaffirming that resolution exists and was adopted as of that date.
Correct.
You can say subject to any amendments to date. The only amendments to date, like you pointed out, were those minor.
Wasn't that what Brian said?
That's good.
But I did want to say that, and I think that our chamber president is here, and I think it's important that in these days, companies have a lot of choices. There's a lot of competition to get companies in, and I'll ask Mike, but we need all the new assessment we can get.
Mr. Chairman, we need every arrow in our quiver ready and prepared. And it's only going to get tighter, especially with the economy where it is. And I really hope that the counties of Warren and Washington continue to work together to try and get folks to come in here and also to help expand current businesses so that they don't leave. So it's not just about coming in. It's also working with current well-established companies in both counties to help them expand. Mr. Chairman, on the, what I'm really excited about on the proposed uniform tax abatement policy is it explains better than I've ever seen anywhere else about the base pilot.
Mhm.
There's a misnomer out there that the IDA gives tax breaks. And I love this base pilot here. Continue to pay 100% of taxes on existing land and buildings. Continue to pay 100% of water, sewer, and special assessments. So whatever's there today, the buyer, the owner still pays that same amount of taxes. What is abated is future improvements on the property, future improvements on the buildings, and there's an abatement there, but that's to attract the folks to take over the property, expand on the property, make jobs, and then eventually pay even more taxes as the years go on. So I really urge everybody to read that. It was great definition.
And I think it's a great definition. I think there's a little addendum to that. In fact, when they do buy the property, the assessed value may go up in a lot of cases. It may go from residential to commercial. It may go from ag to commercial. So it is a way that there are higher assessed values, which helps spread the base among taxpayers, as Al would point out, and lessen taxes if you get more base, more assessment in there. So I think that's important. So having said that, Ally, could you do a roll call on this, please?
Craig Leggett,
Yes.
Michael Biddle,
Yes, ma'am.
Brian Campbell,
Yeah,
Ginny Sullivan,
Yeah,
Dan Bruno,
Yes.
Nick Caimano,
See,
Dave O'Brien.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, before we go off of this, I have had at least 4 discussions with the city editor of the paper. Every time they write an article, they screw it up. And I try to explain exactly what Mike Biddle just explained. And they don't seem to have they can speak the English language, but I don't think they understand the English language. I would recommend that you, Mr. Chairman, ask for a meeting with them and sit down and discuss what we do and what we don't do so that they know this for a fact. Because I see not only supervisors in Washington County, but supervisors in Warren County too, who don't seem to understand. And part of that misunderstanding comes from reading the wrong understanding in the paper. I hope you will take that opportunity.
And we will. I think if you've seen the papers over the past few weeks, there's been a number of companies expanding, and I've reached out to them, and some are coming back to us to help do pilots and stuff, and people really don't understand it. So I think one of the things that probably would help is if we can get together with the ARCC president and really do a good blast on what the IDA does, how it can help people. Because I actually had one person who had a pilot with us years ago and came back and he called me back yesterday. He said, Dave, I don't think we need your help. We don't need any bonds. I says, well, that's not what we can help you. We can help you on the sales tax abatement. We can help you on the mortgage tax abatement. We can help you on the potential property tax relief in there. And he said, gee, I should have known that. So he's in the process of filling out the paperwork. He's probably got an $8 million project he's working on. In other words, $1 million project. I would like to try and get into a couple of the others in the paper lately, but that's why we need someone prospecting and doing this out there and really getting in there. So really solve that issue to get someone out there. We will have a disastrous year this year because hopefully we can save it, but we had projects wanted to buy some property and disappeared. We had WL who disappeared. It's all COVID related, and hopefully we get back on track because I think there's a lot of activity out there with companies in here, and I think they're good expansions for the area, and I think we need to get serious about those.
I think you got a great idea. I hope you get the ARCC chairman back to work. He could help you.
Did Mr. Caimano say something?
Brian, did you say something?
Dave, Brian Campbell. Yeah, I agree with Nick that, we've got to have the correct messaging, but it also starts with our own communication amongst our county board of supervisors. Our own supervisors should understand how this works, and it's our lack of communication that they don't. So I agree with Nick that, yeah, the paper should get it right. But man, if we don't get this right at our own board of supervisors, we're really out of touch.
Amen.
Okay, motion carried. Did I have anything else on the list? I did not. So based on this
So
resolution,
Dave,
Brian?
where are we going with that? Where are we gonna entertain, are you trying to get a different resolution from Granville and Hartford?
I was gonna ask Kara that. I think
Or are
that
we gonna entertain them tonight?
I'm just gonna ask Kara because the resolution really reflects it. It gives it, I don't know if they're right the way they are or they should be changed. I'm just asking the question. I'm not trying to not do them. I'm just trying to get them right.
So I think Hartford's is they referenced that resolution, when they sent their letter. Granville, what their resolution indicates is that they would like to have approval if any enhanced real property tax abatements other than 485B, so that's basically that's not even enhanced under our policy, but, or under section 13, prior to the decrease of an amount of any payment in lieu. I don't know what that section 13.
I know what it is yesterday. I mean, our base pilot is what's outlined here.
Right.
So he's talking about enhanced, and enhanced is anything other than anything that is other than on this policy. For example, we have 10 years on a base policy for 50%, 100% for the first 5 years, 50% for the exempt. That's our base policy.
Right.
Our enhanced policy is anything different that's in these here. So I was a little confused. I mean, I'm not trying to.
What is section 13?
I have the policy right, proposed uniform tax abatement policy right in front of me, and I don't see it in 13. There's no numbers.
I'm not sure what this means. I'm not sure what this is in reference to require the board's approval, the town board of Granville, prior to the decrease of any amount of agreed upon pilot in the town. We've never authorized that. I didn't know that there was anything in the policy to that effect.
I would have to go look back to that and see.
I mean, I think what we can do, the easy, most streamlined approach, I suppose, would be is to go back to Granville, indicate to them that at today's meeting, the board reaffirmed its 1999 resolution, and if that's, if they can clarify just this last section, what precisely they mean. I mean, we would take their resolution to indicate that any pilot that goes before us in the town of Granville, they would like to have pre-approval of.
Yeah, I mean, because one thing says enhanced, but I don't read enhanced.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Hi, sir. Maybe you could get together offline,
Yeah.
figure out what list of questions to ask. And if anybody else has any input or questions after reading it,
Okay.
I want to make sure everybody on the call got the Granville letter. First of all, I don't know if that's been done. I mean, I got it in the mail. Was there a Hartford letter as well?
He was sent out, and he actually sent it to the IDA certified.
Okay, so if we're going to take any action on that, we would need that sent to the board, right? For just the educator or the communication with the board?
I mean, I think if you're reaffirming that this,
Brian, I didn't hear you.
Didn't Hartford come as a resolution to the last meeting? So I think.
Yeah, it came as a resolution last meeting. We had it last meeting, yes.
Yeah, I sent it out to everyone.
Thank you.
So we should look at that resolution resolution again and see if there's any reason we can't pass that or
No,
what it's gonna be, but I think that resolution we should look at because we've had it for a while.
no, Kara said that was pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think you just, they present to you what they wanna a pre-approval of. Harvard's was pretty straightforward. I think that can be just done administratively, acknowledge that their resolution.
So all we have to do is send them a letter acknowledging receipt of it, and that meets our policy. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I'm just-
we'll just write them a letter acknowledging receipt, and that takes care of the requirement from the resolution we just reaffirmed.
Okay, but, and then, the Granville one, we still have to clean up, right?
Yeah, I'll talk,
Granville, I think we just have a couple questions, what exactly they wanted.
because it doesn't coincide with this. They might have used a different version, which I
Again,
think they did.
it goes to Mr. Campbell's point of, in not Granville's fault at all, but we gotta do an education campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick?
Yeah, maybe this, Dan, maybe this should be, project number one at our first meeting. This whole thing of getting everybody to understand what the hell we're doing.
I agree. Let's bring it up, put it on the list and we'll discuss it. We'll develop some
Okay.
approach. I agree.
Okay. Anything else on this? Were you just stretching, or did you have something to say?
Well,
So are we gonna entertain Hartford or not?
All we have to do is acknowledge it, acknowledge receipt, and
If
it
you
takes
wanna
care of
do a
the,
resolution, you can, but.
I mean, if you want to do a motion on it, that's fine.
Well, usually we do everything by resolution, so I didn't know if we wanted a resolution. I'll gladly make the motion to do it, but, yeah.
Okay, resolution by Brian.
Could you please, be specific on what we're voting on, what the resolution is? Not you, Chairman, but, Mr. Campbell's making a,
It's Hartford having, approval before we move forward with something in their town. And I don't believe we've ever done a project in their town. But, besides the point.
So that was his motion.
so this is parallel to this?
Yes.
I'll second it to put it on the floor.
Second by Nick. Any other further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
I'd be more than happy to, put a presentation together for this body and or the county boards about the math of a pilot event without the education.
It probably would help. I think the next ag and planning meeting, Kara's gonna give the presentation. It might be a bad thing to include in that also,
Okay.
if that meets your schedule. Okay. Dennis, did you have something? Sorry.
Yes, I'd like to address the board in regards to, your sale of lot number 3, the proposal.
Mhm.
In regards to the industrial park phase 2, I was back here in March, and I guess I have to reaffirm it again. For your mission statement, the concept behind this park is for small, light industrial facilities that create jobs.
Mhm.
For the minutes from the meetings that I've read, the maximum number of people for this Nolan project would be a maximum of 3. And also in the minutes, I saw that they would apply for the pilot program and all the abatements. How does that work with a quantity of 3 people increased in the town of Kingsbury in that park benefit the park? The park, lot number 3 is, I feel, is the best piece of parcel you have. It's on the main road, 3-phase power, sewer, high-speed internet, and water, and you're selling it to a place that's using none of that, except for maybe the internet. You're using it as a station to put the propane tanks on and to distribute out of there.
Mhm.
One thing, per your covenants, you're not supposed to be doing anything outside. All this truck loading and everything will be outside. You're going against everything you have in the park. Wouldn't you rather sell that piece of property to a small business that's gonna put in 15, 20 people with paying jobs instead of 3? I don't understand the concept behind it. I know one of the concepts is nobody's been buying this land and it's a sale. Well, that's totally wrong concept on this whole park. I don't understand why. G.A. Bove a few years ago was gonna put the exact same thing in. He graciously bowed out because he knew the neighbors didn't want it. And I've spoke to a lot of neighbors already, they do not want this. They don't want this facility, they want a building just like Kingsbury Printing, King James, M&S Machine. All those have created jobs in our community. This one's not coming. This one's maximum of 3 jobs. I created more jobs out of my farm than I did this business, and you're gonna give them all these tax abatements when we already have propane facilities in the town of Kingsbury. So you're really gonna go against them. That's already put in facilities. Dadness is one of them down on the towpath. They created a hole, they put in a 30,000 gallon tank, they've done it all on their own. So now you're creating an environment to compete with him by giving away this prime land that you could sell to create a lot more jobs. I don't understand, you've gone so far away from your mission on this piece of property. Mr. King, Kenyon was gonna buy it for the trucks. That was another miss thing that should never been even entertained. Same with this propane. It should never even be entertained because it doesn't create jobs. It does not benefit the community. All it does is create a nuisance for the neighborhood. I don't know why we're lowering our standards to get a sale of a piece of land. Those properties have been up there for about 40 years. Not once have I ever seen a for sale sign on any of them. You used, probably 10 years ago, you put little placard signs out that told what lots or what. As soon as the weeds got up, you never saw them. I don't understand why you don't go to a real estate agent, which is their job to market this property, and try to get some businesses out of New Jersey or that will create multiple high-paying jobs. I don't get it. It's been 40 years. Now you want to dump it to a propane facility that's not going to create any jobs.
So we have had a real estate agent listed to sell the property. And we have not gotten much interest in those properties for quite a while.
Have not seen a sign in 40 years.
Nope. Understood, but, you know, it doesn't, it's something we have to take under advisement. I mean, we will debate that when it comes up. We don't have a firm offer on the property, working through some of the things. I'm not even sure what the numbers exactly are at this point. He hasn't completed all his paperwork, so we haven't seen all of that. So we need to review that and see what's happening within that. But as far as it doesn't fit our mission, I know Kara, she's our legal beagle.
Here's your mission right here. It states it 3 times in your mission statement, job creation.
And
Job creation. I'll read it verbatim. Advance the job opportunities. And I'm just taking out excerpts out of your mission. The agency's primary role is to develop opportunities for job creation and job retention within the counties. This project has none of that. It's going to create a part-time position to begin with and may create 3 jobs. I don't see how that even fits.
Just for a point of clarification, as to where the board is with the process. They've received an offer for the sale of that property. They've not received any application concerning the benefits. That's not even before the board at this time to approve, discuss, et cetera. So until such time as there's an application presented and a cost benefit can be done, in some situations, it is acceptable to have a lower number of jobs. It makes sense for the project. In some situations, you want to look at a different number of jobs. So those numbers have not been presented to the board. There's been no application filed for benefits. So there's nothing for the board to review and analyze at this time with respect to that. So really, the only item before the board is the offer that's been submitted by this particular company.
And the concept of what's going in there. That's the big part of this.
Correct. So I mean, the only item that the board can currently be reviewing is the covenants and restrictions that affect the property at this point. I mean, I know that the chairman mentioned that we're meeting with them. We've raised that with them, that look, if you're planning on applying for any sort of benefits with the IDA, we should look at this simultaneously. So that's been presented to them. We're having this meeting to discuss that.
But I think before that meeting even begins, you would need to look at how this facility would fit in the park. And in my respect, it doesn't fit at all. And that, why waste everyone's time when you're gonna have the whole neighborhood against Mr. Nolan? Because that's what will happen. And you guys are gonna say, okay, we accept this into our project. It's not even what it should be in that park. At all. So I don't understand how you even can go forward with a meeting when it doesn't fit. Instead of telling Mr. Nolan, this doesn't fit in this park, maybe we can find another spot for you. I don't understand it.
Well, I appreciate your concerns, Dennis.
Mr. Chairman, I don't know, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I've been on since just after roll call. I basically agreed with every single word. If that was Dennis Kelly speaking,
That is.
no matter who it was. I basically agree with everything he says. You know, I think that's part of the problem of having a real estate agent trying to sell lots, and we're not trying to find, I mean, we went to a lot of trouble to create shovel-ready sites and having it certified with the state of New York. And we didn't do it, so we could put in a facility like this. So I hope that there's a way that we can further review this.
Well, there is. And we have to receive his full application about what he's doing and what he's actually doing.
Okay.
I mean, that's still gonna be up to the board whether they want to accept the offer or not, or accept the project or not.
Not for me, but.
Pardon?
But I have many years as park chairman, and I haven't, and this just isn't a proper use of that lot. So I hope that.
On the other side, we have to evaluate what's been going on down there. I don't think we've had a lot sale in 10 years. I don't remember that.
Yeah, but one of the last ones we had was that
M&S
small
machine was the
machine
last
company.
How long ago was that, Dennis? I don't
It's
remember.
an excellent little company, and that makes a product. And sometimes you have to wait a while. But to sell it for something else is just wrong.
Okay. Well, thanks for your input, Dennis. I appreciate it. As I said, I know the facility, we put one in Hampton that's 10 times larger than what they're doing. And the safety features in that are just so fantastic. That we had the same comments from neighbors, and they went over and looked at the facility, and they were just absolutely amazed at how.
Just on a side note, GBO was very glad not to be in the park.
Yeah.
They're very happy where they are now. They have easier access. So that's a plus.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any other comments?
I think he really brings up a good point. Dave. And I think as an IDA, sometimes we do have to relook at our mission statement. And, I like Dennis' comments, and maybe sometime he will, step forward and, think of being on the IDA. I like the way he looks at this.
You want a spot on the IDA?
IDA's mission sometimes is more, sometimes the IDA's mission is a little more important than we give it. And, I think, I know Craig Leggett's gone back and read our mission statement a couple times to us, and both times it was greatly appreciated because we were in an area where maybe we didn't belong. And I have an appreciation for that. So I think when somebody comes to the board and says, hey, this is what this is really about, and as far as us selling property, maybe we aren't doing a great job at it. Maybe some of that's on us, not on the actual property. But I do understand we'd like to sell property, but we also need to stay with our mission. And so I appreciate what Dennis brought to us.
Okay.
Topic number 2, Dan, for us.
Okay. Any other comments?
Yeah, make a note of that, Nick.
All right.
Any comments?
Mr. Chairman, it really means a lot that one of the neighbors came to speak about this, somebody that's been supportive of the park for all the years. And I want to thank you so much for coming today.
Okay. Anything else for the IDA? Motion to adjourn the IDA? Motion by Mr. Biddle, do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Dan?
Jenny?
So moved.
Brian, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we need to do the CDC meeting. I call the CDC meeting. Call the CDC meeting to order. And what do we have for the CDC? I don't find the,
The agenda? I can't find it. We have a payable.
oh, we need to accept the approval of the minutes. We're gonna confirm attendance. We still have the same attendance.
I would want to with adding me, please.
Pardon?
And add my name, please.
Yeah, add Bruce to that. Both meetings. I need approval.
Actually, I'm sorry, can I, Bruce, I didn't call on you for the, your vote of the reaffirmation of the resolution. Do you approve that? I left you blank because I thought you were
I'm glad I
absent.
didn't have to vote, but yeah, yes, you can add my name to it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the minutes in last meeting. Mr. Biddle, do I have a second? Nick? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The second is, we have one payable. I need a motion to approve the payable.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, is that Nick? Second? Second?
Dan?
Dan?
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
Aye.
Any other further business come before the board? Motion to adjourn. Mr. Biddle, do I have a second? Nick? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
I'm opposed. Adjourned. Thank you.
Hey, have a good day.
Have a good day. Yep.
Good day, all.
Thank you.
Do you want this back or do you want me to take this?